Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's Shaker and Spoon Happy Hour. Um, Kylene, I feel like you guys are a little too, I don't know. I feel like you're not really relaxed enough right now, chilling out in the backyard. That's nice. I'd love to introduce everybody, even though we don't have everyone yet, but we're going to start anyway. Our guests today are Stefan Frei, Adam Way, who are both here from Seattle. We have a couple other Seattleites here as well, and a couple folks who messaged me earlier today who are very excited because they are both very proud of their city, and they all seem to know both of you actually. They know. So Adam's from Il Bistro in Seattle, and also has. I'm going to post actually this real quick so everybody can see it. See everybody's little Insta right here. There we go. So you can see everybody's Instas, and also if you guys want to go and visit Adam at Il Bistro in Pike's Place, you can bother him there. Was it Wednesday to Saturday? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Yes, that's right.
Okay, so 5 to close, you said?
5 to midnight, yeah, right now.
Okay, very good. Well, I'd love to dive right in, and I will do the intros of Steva and Christopher as they jump on. But what we really want to dive into is our overall theme today, which is Cachaça, creativity, and collaboration. And I feel like this is not only this month with this particular Shaker and Spoon box that we have coming up, which is catching up with Cachaça, but also just in general, the life of a professional athlete or anyone that's on any team, including a bar team, a bartender, a creative consultant. It's all about collaborating and teamwork. And so this just seemed like such an easy topic for us to cover here. And the reason why I wanted to have you guys jump on first, Stefan and Adam, is because the way that you collaborated on this particular cocktail was so interesting, because it's what I called in the first section creativity and collaboration in the time of COVID. So I didn't just do it for the purpose of alliteration, but for this being such a weird year for so many people in so many different ways. Hi, Steva. For so many people in so many different ways, and I feel like the way that you guys came together with, taking Stefan's idea and having Adam create a cocktail out of it was very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Stefan to talk about a couple things that drew him to creativity, and we're going to start off with Cachaça and art.
Perfect. Did you want me to take over from there?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, like you said, thanks for the intro. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here. Hopefully, or if this is an intro for people to Cachaça, I'm excited for you. But for me, I mean, I'm a soccer player. I grew up in Switzerland. And I have to say, my very first experience was in Switzerland with Cachaça. For some weird reason, it was very popular when I was growing up in Germany and in Switzerland. I don't know how it made its way all the way over to Europe, but it did. So I knew Cachaça with Caipirinhas very early on. I enjoyed them back then already. But yeah, I mean, I pursued, for me, soccer was always life, was everything. And I'm a goalkeeper. I'm the one all the way in the back. And I don't get to be very creative for the most part. If I go on an adventure and I become creative, then bad things happen. So there's not much room for error for me and be creative. So in lieu of that, when you said with creativity, I think it's very important to be balanced for anybody in whatever you do. And so I found art as something that really helps me balance out. So as you see behind me, for example, there, an art piece that I've been working on. It just really helps me kind of deal with stress. And last year was a really strange year for everybody. So we needed to make sure, I think, mentally that everybody was stable and found some different outlets too. So for this program with Adam, yeah, like you said, it's a collaboration. I mean, yeah, usually you'd probably sit down, you'd have a couple of cocktails together. You discuss what your interests are, what you really love about a certain cocktail or a certain spirit, and you kind of go for it. But it was a bit more difficult than that for us. So I just wanted to share with him what I enjoyed. Like I said, the traditional Caipirinha, that's one of my go-tos. I also enjoy whiskey, so old fashions are kind of the thing. So if you have a good cachaça, you can achieve some really cool things with it. So I kind of wanted to challenge Adam and kind of combine the two. I know it's summer, and so an old fashioned, you have to be in the perfect setting to really enjoy it when it's hot outside in old fashioned. But I was confident that he could somehow make us a kind of a variation of an old fashioned. Adam, do you want to take it from there and let us know how you went about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually just waking up today for this happy hour, and this is my breakfast, cachaça. And I'll tell you what, it's really not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. So actually, this has been a really great experience because I've even furthered my love for cachaça, which is great. It just gave me an opportunity to kind of focus more on it. Like you said, this was a challenge and an exciting one. I like a challenge. It's always fun to try to be the master of what you're doing, and someone gives you a challenge and it's probably possible and you got to make something delicious. Well, all right, I want to do that. So the trick was using an unaged spirit in a stirred old fashioned. It's pretty uncommon, unorthodox. So it was really fun trying to do that. I added lemon oil, and I decided to use flavors of tea to kind of make it accentuate the vegetal and earthy flavors of the cachaça. I really like Darjeeling tea, but when I looked into it, I discovered that there's different qualities of Darjeeling tea, and they're called flushes, and it's basically when they are picked. And so I decided to use first flush Darjeeling tea, which is basically the very earliest picking. It's at its very youngest, and it has these really brighter, more astringent flavors. And so I really thought that would match perfectly with the flavors of cachaça. So it was fun trying to take this challenge on, but it was really exciting, and I think it turned out really well, and I'm excited for everybody to try it.
One of the fun things when Adam was coming up with his cocktail, it was like at one point you went down to the I district to look for some fun ingredients, and it was like just before you were going to Belize. There were a lot of things going on at the time, and he still like took this idea. And at one point, what was the thing that was it like? Tea and tannins and barrel aging. What was the thing that like made you?
Oh yeah. That's right. You're bringing me back. I remember thinking, okay, well, he likes cachaça, he likes caipirinhas, he likes aged cachaça old fashions. So what flavors are in that? How can I mimic that perhaps? So I think, what does barrel aging give? Vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, kind of this baking spice, and it kind of mellows out the flavors. It makes it very smooth. So basically, I decided to incorporate the lighter parts of that. So no clove, no allspice, none of the darker baking spices, and decided to go on the lighter version. So like kind of more like sometimes you get ginger and definitely vanilla. So I left those in quite a bit. So think like lemon, vanilla, ginger, and then everything you get from cachaça. There's like almost kind of like fermented banana. I don't know, banana and like tropical notes of like just greenery, and it's
the banana is what brings you back to you having breakfast right now.
Yeah, right. No, and it's great. It's perfect.
It is actually no joke. We've done a cachaça reduction before to meld into a syrup for pancakes. It's pretty great. Wow. It's pretty great. All the little sugar notes all the little notes that you get when you start to reduce it, obviously like some of the alcohol burns off, but just like there's a lot of times, I'm sure you guys have all been to a restaurant where they have, bourbon ribs or bourbon barbecue or something. I mean, there's almost no alcohol left in any of those things. They're all cooked off, but it definitely leaves a flavor. In particular, like, those of you who are still going through your Tennessee whiskey boxes right now, you'll see a lot of Tennessee whiskey being used for barbecue and barbecue sauces, because when it cooks down, you get maple. So when you cook down cachaça, you do actually get a lot of banana. So for those of you who are looking to do an Adam Way style breakfast on your own accord, not recommended for a work day, but for a weekend, it's totally
my day off. My day off. I want to be clear. This is happy hour, is it not?
It is. It is. And in our group, there's no judgment ever. So I wanted to also give Stefan an opportunity to talk about, also speaking of collaboration, the program that you're doing with Nova Fogo in terms of reforestation and how that all came together.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much because we haven't announced all of it yet. Dragos is smiling, I see it there. So, but I can give you a little bit. I mean, the way we started our collaboration is just many things came together. You know, again, for me in particular, was the balance that I seek. You know, to make sure that I'm mentally healthy when it comes to being able to go back on the pitch and playing. So art has always been something for me. And Dragos and Nova Fogo, you know, they approached me. How about, you know, maybe working on some designs, some packaging, some things like that. And, you know, we kind of explored more if we were maybe a good fit. And the more I learned about the company as a whole, you know, carbon negative, you know, so many good things that kind of are important to me as a person as well. I've recently been very, very fortunate that my family was able to move away from Seattle. I love Seattle, but we moved a little bit out. As you can see behind me, it's Bainbridge Island. It's just a short ferry ride away, but it's chock full of nature, and it's so good to the soul. So I think Nova Fogo as a company is very, very, it's very important to them that we take care of our planet. And that's something that again, for me was right away, boom, that's it. So we were coming out with an amazing product, not a product, a really cool initiative, I should say. And I don't know, Dragos, can I say the name of it, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please talk about it.
Okay, the boss had to clear it there, but no, we're going to call it the Tree Keeper program. Obviously, I'm a goalkeeper, you know, and it just makes sense with the way we're trying to help, you know, reforestation and keeping the planet healthy, that we're combining all the things that we have in this collaboration to make sure that we take care of our planet. And you know, I think the distilleries down that Nova Fogo has down in Brazil are amazing, and so we have the two connections. Really, you know, our home is here, Seattle, but we're doing a lot in Brazil. Obviously, we're getting the cachaça there in its purest form. But it's nice to combine everything. And on our packaging, on the design side, we're trying to do the same thing. Really mush it all together. The nature of here in the Pacific Northwest, the beautiful landscape of Brazil, the culture of Brazil, you know, samba, soccer, colorful, happy, all that stuff. So it's been an amazing journey. And I look forward to doing more and to kind of unveil it to everybody once we're able to do so.
We've got a couple sneak peek things happening in the happy hour today, which is why we get a lot of people jumping on and watching it again later, for those who can't see it live when we post it again. But that was a good little hint. And Dragos, sorry, I had no idea that it was actually secret. So I wouldn't have brought it up yet. But I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's so in tune with who you guys are that it's important that people know that, especially since you know, our subscribers are going out and looking for the recommended cachaças everywhere, that, you know, a lot of times they want to know a little bit more about the producers and not just the liquid itself. So cachaça in and of itself is still a mystery to a lot of people. They don't understand it yet. And then as soon as they smell it or taste it for the first time, they start to understand, but they still don't necessarily know, like, all of the things that go into putting this product into a bottle, and you guys do such a great job that I think it's important that they know that. So sorry for the early leak.
It's all right. It's a process of release.
Understood.
Little episode. Thank you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To all the folks who have joined us live today, if you have questions, make sure to put your questions into the chat, and we'll try to get to them whenever we can. In particular, the little Q&As that we have after each segment, and then we'll do a little bit more at the end. And also, I wanted to see anybody who's actually like having a beverage. We'd love to see what you're having. What are you having, Nicole?
It's a soulful sour.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, my favorite.
And then Kylene, what is your group having?
Yep, we brought our own Brazilian, and she's going to pronounce it. What are we having? Caipirinha.
Yeah. All having Caipirinha. That's nice.
Yeah. And we got you guys on the big TV out here.
Oh, that's nice. That's great. Check it out.
Well,
We're gonna wave so you can all just wave it's on the big screen. That's great. Oh, so question from Mika: do any other areas in South America have anything similar to cachaça, or would that be rum? So, great question. I mean, Christopher, actually, at your old place at 1760, you did a spirited dinner with a very well-known now Bolivian spirit. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Christopher. I did a pairing dinner with the Oscar winner director Steven Soderbergh, and we did a lot of really amazing cocktails with a spirit called Singani, which is a Bolivian brandy, a clear Bolivian brandy. Though I've understood they're aging it now, or they're trying to. But yeah, so we did some really great cocktails with that, and with those pairings. Has a lot of versatility, that spirit, Singani. It's very floral, has a little bit of grip, a little bit of structure. And if you need like just small little taste of it, it can straighten your back out a little bit, so you're good to go. Yeah, so that spirit, that South American spirit that we're talking about, that could be included is Singani, 100% Bolivian brandy.
There's the one that people probably know the most, especially in this group, if you've been a subscriber for a while, is Pisco, which is also an unaged brandy, which in and of itself is an oxymoron, because technically brandy's part of its definition means time in a barrel, but it's the easiest way for us to actually describe it. So it is an unaged grape distillate, and both the Chileans and the Peruvians lay claim to it. So that's a fun argument to get into if you're ever with both Peruvians, and yeah, it's a ton of fun. And then of course there's Aguardiente, which is more, you see it more in the northern part of South America, and that is predominantly sugarcane distillate as well, but it's the rules on it are very vague in terms of what it has to be, and so there's a lot of neutral grain or corn distillate in Aguardiente as well. And the best definition is firewater, but it just depends who makes it and whether you're with Nicaraguans or Colombians. It all depends on the day and how much fun they're having, I guess. And we will jump back to Stefan and Adam as the time goes on. Is there anything that two of you wanted to add in addition regarding collaboration and creativity?
The only thing I would say is that obviously because of Adam came up with an amazing name for the drink, called it the Give and Go, and it has something to do with soccer, but it kind of really is how we had to go about making this drink. I was kind of passing on information to him, and he went with it, and then we shot it back. We kind of kept going back and forth, and came out with a goal at the end, if you will.
yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Saw what you did there.
I was going to add just one thing. I noticed that it was also styled on a clear sphere ice, or ice sphere, and I like to think that's reminiscent of a soccer ball, just so everybody's clear.
Understood. We're double clear. We're clear on the ice. We're clear on the analogy that you have made. That's perfect. I honestly I'm really excited for people to have all the cocktails. And this is great because every once in a while they do get a little bit of an insight about how this works. And I thought it was very unique this past month how you guys collaborated with the difficulties between COVID and scheduling. And so I'm excited for folks to try it out. The next person that I would love to introduce here is Christopher Longoria, who is the bar director at K Fico in San Francisco, and he also has a company called West Bev Consulting, and he's just an all-around badass. If any of you saw the thing that I wrote, the little blurb that I wrote for the happy hour, I said, we have a professional athlete, and we have bartenders, and we have poets, and we have musicians. So he's our bartender poet warrior, and So I'm going to have him talk about creativity and riffing, because riffing works in many different ways, from poetry to music to cocktails, and I'm going to let him dive right into that.
Hey, thanks, Donnie. Greetings, everybody. My name is Christopher Longoria, as he said. Coming to you live and direct from San Francisco, California, IA. It is bright. It's a little bit warm out here, warm for San Franciscans. Great weather to be drinking cachaça in, 100%. I forgot the name of the group, but I am also drinking Caipirinhas. Lovely drink, especially in the weather. Creativity and riffing, man. I mean, I grew up on the Gulf Coast and played a lot of music on the front porch. Played a lot of blues, played a lot of jazz. I think that just kind of comes with it. Growing up where I grew up, you hang out in the kitchen. Your hands are too small. You're gonna peel some shrimp. You're gonna pluck something. That's what's gonna happen. So you're in the kitchen, getting all these smells, getting all these flavors. Everything is, tan and cayenne and orange and garlic. It's very vibrant. It's very vibrant. It's very, very alive, And on top of that, you're hearing Eric Dolphy, and you're hearing Louis Armstrong, and you're hearing King, and you're hearing all these people that are really just imbuing all your senses at once, So much of who you are in and out is being stimulated and inspired, hopefully, if you're listening. And that kind of is really what a lot of how I operate kind of goes on. My nervous system is inside out. So I can feel a lot of things, So I grew up, my mom used to sit us down at the table after the crawfish dinner, after peeling shrimp, and we would listen to we listened to Jim Croce and Willie Nelson, and we would listen to Johnny Cash, and we would listen to Bob Dylan, and we would listen to all these storytellers, and kind of, in the middle of anywhere, she'd just be like, what does that mean? What does operator mean? Why does just giving away his dime mean anything? And we really had this kind of tutelage in the sense of like existing within an amalgamation of our senses, and I feel really comfortable in that. So, from that, I went to breakdancing and MCing and a lot of DJing and hip hop. And then I went to Chicago to paint and study poetry and all this kind of stuff. So the thing about all that is, I was at a party at Rohan Lounge, one of my first bars I ever worked at. And it was a big hip hop party, and there were people, And, what I really started to understand was the bartender asked me, he said, why are you just hanging out on the wall? Because I should be dancing. I should be doing something. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, do you need some help? So he's like, yeah, I need help picking this mint. So I started picking mint when I was 21 years old behind the bar. And then we found ourselves here. But the point is that what I started to find out was like there was a rhythm I was creating, pulling the mint and listening to the music and listening. And it was a Korean bar. So it was soju and pork bulgogi and kalbi, and I was like tasting these things, eating these things all at the same time, and I think my system just pretty much got rushed. And from that, I really started to understand there really is an amalgamation of the senses, and I like to dwell and exist within all those kind of moments. You know what I mean? So that's something that's really important to me. Especially collaboratively speaking. There's so many energies and forces around us. Like we can force ourselves against them, or we can work and flow with them. And so when it comes into collaboration, not unlike a give and go, there's a rhythm there as well. When I grew up, it was Karl Malone and John Stockton, and I would watch the whole give and go, and I learned that. We used to watch soccer films or football films back in the day to learn the rhythm and the angles of those. I don't find that any different to what we're talking about when it comes to angularity of citrus, and then the flow and the roundness of what cachaça can be. Those things are very important to me. And I might sound like slightly heady and out here being like that, but I honestly mean that. Like to me, it's a true existence. And one of the first cocktails I made with cachaça, I made it 1760 in San Francisco, and it was I had some Fresno chilies, I had some Meyer lemons, I had a really great lime oleo saccharum. And then I had a little bit of cachaça, and the high-end restaurant critic named Michael Bauer who was coming through, and this cocktail wasn't even on the menu, but I felt so confident in that relationship of flavors that I really felt like that's what I really wanted to present to him. So I presented him that cocktail with the Fresno chilies and the Meyer lemons at 1760, and it was a hit. You know, I saw his face, you know, and I was just like, you know, that's kind of where I need to go. The thing I was paying attention to, listening to the way Adam was speaking earlier, the way I was paying attention to it as well was understanding like the greenness, or rather what makes cachaça verdant, and how it interacts with high citrus tones, high spice tones, because it's so round and it can absorb so many flavors that it actually has this balance. That to me is a collaboration for sure, no doubt. Like high intensity, high tone, high acid, and then roundness, richness, verdance. To me, that is that's a very balanced situation as well.
What about some of your like you know, one of the other things I mentioned in the sort of blurb for the happy hour is, you know, the dance that we do behind the bar. And I feel like it's much more of an analogy to what Stefan was talking about earlier in terms of give and go, in terms of, you know, passing back and forth. There's a rhythm that you get with your with the people that you work with behind the bar, especially with not a lot of room behind the bar, where, you know, the bar back is zipping behind you, another bartender is zipping in front of you, you're handing things to each other, you're sharing things like, oh, we only have one bottle of yellow chartreuse, like in your cocktail, and so that has to get handed over to the other person after they're using it. So there's kind of a dance there, and that is a way of collaboration as well. And you had been mentioning to me about the way that you and Uzi like to collaborate with flavors.
Sure. Yeah, well, two things. Well, first of all, the dance. So Cape Figo is a very busy bar. We're 140 seats. We're 40 to the bar often, you know, so we're pumping out a lot of cocktails. One of the things I hate the most behind the bar is clashes. Like when I see two bartenders clash or feel so, you know, erratic that they bump into each other, that to me is not gracefulness. And a way to avoid that, for me, is the language, right? So if you find a way to create a common language within each other, or within your space rather, you can really understand where each goes. Not unlike a musician that's counting off their times. You know what I mean? If you play jazz or you play music, you know where your time is coming from. You know where it's leading up. You know where the four is coming from. And the same thing can happen behind the bar. And when people see it, you know, it comes off as a delicate choreography. You know what I mean? And it's quite a delicate choreography. We live in a very small space. We operate with high intensity and high energy in a very small space. And your pivot foot and the way you move and the way you communicate creates that gracefulness. And to me, that's music. So, you know, language is definitely one of the ways that we get to that. Once you start to create that language, I think I studied poetry. I went to grad school for poetry, and that's really kind of where I really pay attention to language and intonations and tones and global systems and things like that. But something that was really important was me and Uzi, his real name is Azil, been my right-hand man for 9 years. We can communicate on so many different levels because we've created a broad foundation of language. And so he can look at me and say, you know, blueberries, coffee, and I'll just kind of look at him because I can understand the intonation. And then it's just the energetic riff right there. And I'm just like, oh, Szechuan. And so we made like a blueberry coffee Szechuan cocktail that was really amazing. And it, you know, went off the shelves and all that kind of thing. But it just happened that simply and that quickly. And that trust wasn't immediate. That trust began, that collaboration began a long time ago with accepting each other's language of how he wants to identify and communicate and describe things, and how I want to identify, communicate, and describe things. And that was really important. So if you have a common language, you can move together towards a common goal. And hopefully that's very flavorful and delicious, or, you know, victories, set goals, you know what I mean, kind of situation. So that was really important, you know. I think one of the people, Donnie, if I could just say, one of the people I think that recognized that was Nancy Silverton, Chef Nancy Silverton, at Cape Figo one night. and collaboration. So I've worked with many chefs, and one of the ones I work with currently is named David Nayfeld, and he pedigree, and so one day he walks in and he says, "Hey, Mr. C, we have Nancy Silverton coming in tonight. She wants to sit at the bar." And she's a very acclaimed chef. She's highly talented. And he throws me like, I don't know, 8 or 9 Seville oranges. And so I'm just kind of sitting there like, Seville oranges. He's like, yeah, cocktail, Nancy Silverton. She's coming in tonight. Let's get it done. I was like, chef, like service is in an hour, right? And so then you're gonna play jazz right now, right? It's happening right now. And so that's real time. So I understand what he qualifies as quality, what he understands to be like delicious things within a Seville orange, because I know him and we've created our language. I know his history of how he associates to that fruit. So we created a cocktail, and it was Seville orange, it was Bruto Amaro, it was orgeat, a little bit of lime, a little touch of black pepper. And the whole night, Nancy Silverton, or rather Chef Nancy, was drinking wine. I was like, oh, dude, like I went through all this to make you a cocktail. And so towards the end of the night, I was like, I can't let the wine guys have all the fun. And so I slid her and her guest a half cocktail, and I split it between them. And she drank it, and she was very, very complimentary. And I was like, thank you. And then Chef came over, and they talked about Seville oranges. And because he and I have created that language and created that bond, we were able to riff and communicate like that, like right now, you know what I mean? For people that we really want to show our best to. So I think creativity and collaboration comes with a lot of trust. It comes with a lot of instinct. It comes with a lot of confidence, and comes with a lot of time and experience, you know what I mean? And I think when you trust that, particularly on a give and go, you'll know exactly where that ball is coming from, where that angle is coming from, when you need to break and leave your defender behind. Those kind of things are very true. That's a rhythm that's understood, and rhythm is also a language. I know that from music, you know what I mean? So, to see Stefan and Adam do that to me is, that's music to me as well.
So I also thought that was really funny, that story that you were saying about David just coming in and throwing a bag of oranges at you, like right before service started. Yeah, and,
not easy.
No, you're like, here, just run with this and see what happens. And of course, but no pressure. No, it's not like another award-winning chefs coming in from Los Angeles, and you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine.
No, it's not Nancy Silverton. You're good.
No, you're going to be totally fine. I want some of our attendees today to be able to pop some things into the chat. If you have any really good examples of either questions that you have for Christopher, of course, but if you have examples of things that you've done that have been really collaborative. I saw Nicole posted earlier when she was a scout leader, she gave her scout troop a summer project of making clear ice cubes, which of course, not only is that great leadership, it's also great parenting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel it's really important in terms of things that we really need to teach the next generation well, making sure that they come out crystal clear. So thank you for being on top of that.
Of course.
And then Christopher, I wanted to ask you, what was one of, you would say, the toughest? So Cachaça is this really interesting spirit that I think, for those of us that play with these things all the time, play with these flavors all the time, it's very uncomplicated. It's in fact, it's layered and nuanced, but it's different for people, just like rum agricole. And can you recall a time where you were trying to create something or having a conversation with a patron, with a guest at the bar who wanted to understand Cachaça or who was struggling with it, and something that you came up with that would work well for them?
That's a great question, Donnie. Let me think about that. Well, I can tell you, when a guest comes up to the bar or any of the bars and they want to have something created strictly for them, like on the spot, which I love, instead of asking them what they like, I ask them what they don't like, because they can go on and on about what they like, but they know for a fact what they don't like. They don't like absinthe, they don't like Campari, they don't like mezcal, 100%, or whatever it is, right? But like, they know definitively that's what they don't like. So I know the parameters are set. I can't use these things, right? So and then I'll ask something like, mezcal, rum, cachaça. And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, yes. Okay, sounds good. I'm going to do it. And then what will happen after that is one of the things I think I've done. I think I did a basil, kaffir lime, cachaça, egg white situation for someone as a riff off of one of my cocktails at 1760. And they really enjoyed it. But what I was really playing off of was how grassy, how assertive, how present cachaça likes to be. And I didn't want to downplay that. So I balanced that out with other flavors that were also very, present and, assertive as well. And then you create layers between it. I think that's about ratios. I think that's about how quietly you use your acid, things like that. Is that too much industry talk? Sorry.
No, it's good because people always have questions and they're always curious about like not only how people come up with cocktails. And again, we're talking about creativity is one of our topics today. But
right,
I thought it was interesting you were talking about a guest coming in and you having prepared something for her, and then she was having wine because the Psalms got to her first. But with cachaça, one of the really interesting things that all three of these cachaça have is that grassy note. For those who are either new to cachaça and you can always do a plug and play with a really nice white rum cocktail. It'll always work. It'll definitely add that extra layer of like Adam's banana pancakes breakfast. Like it'll always add that extra layer of like a little bit of sweet, a little bit of rich, a little bit of tropical. But, going back to the wine thing, if y'all know someone who is a big fan of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, cachaça is probably the easiest way to convert them into a cocktail drinker. I know it sounds weird. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's one of those things that like trying to do it with Jamaican rum, it can be a little tough because you're talking about the way that I always describe when we're doing like a bartender training. I'm like, imagine an old tire that you've stuffed with weed and set on fire and rolled down the hill. That's Jamaican rum. Okay, it's amazing and I love it. It's not that something I give to a first timer. Yeah, Longoria enjoys that. But in terms of people who are wine drinkers and not cocktail drinkers, doing like a nice low ABV, something with like a Bianco vermouth and an unaged cachaça, something that's stirred and neat and clean, but figuring out a way to lower the ABV, maybe doing 2-to-1 of the lower ABV to the cachaça is a great way to get someone who loves New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. They love the green, they love the grassy. It's such a weird gateway drug into not only cachaça as a category, but also cocktails for people that don't like cocktails. Because you can still do it dry, but the cachaça has so much fun richness to it that it's not like, oh, I drink wine because it's not sweet. Well, you can make a cocktail that is not sweet, even if it's made from a sugarcane base. So, oh, Adam, thank you. I know that you're having your early bird special tonight. You don't look like you're already a retiree, but between the shirt and the fact that you're having dinner at 4:45 p.m. Pacific, we salute you and thank you for joining us. And I'm sure everybody's really excited to try your drink when they get it next month.
Thank you for having me, and I'm excited for you all to try it as well.
Absolutely. Enjoy your dinner. Make sure that you get somebody to blend your food first, okay?
Right. You're selling him short. He's going to have dinner at the Sounders Stadium on the field with multiple chefs. It's a pretty neat experience.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, then we're all jealous, and we'll talk to you about it later.
Sounds good.
Enjoy it.
Cheers, you guys.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Christopher, thank you. That was really great. And again, folks, if you have any questions for him, I highly encourage you to put them into the chat because it's a pretty unique opportunity to have somebody like Stefan here and someone like Christopher and someone like Steva. These are people that are have extremely packed schedules, and we're super appreciative that they join us. And they also have a very deep wealth of knowledge and breadth of experience. So definitely hit them up, because that's something that will not be available later when we repost this. I want to dive into something that we've been doing now for the last year, which is what we call kind of a state of the union, a status on the hospitality industry. So as any of you who have joined us before, or for those of you who are living in it right now, this has been a really interesting year for hospitality. So a lot of operators have been hit hard, bartenders out of work, businesses closed. And so throughout the last year, as part of our happy hours, we've talked about some of the things that our panelists have seen that have been successful in terms of what operators have done to drive business. A lot of our subscribers and some of the people in our group have been really amazing in talking about things that have happened in their towns that they've seen, and it's given ideas to other people who are in touch with their local bartenders, and it's been an incredible sharing of information. And what we sort of turn to now that things are opening back up, thankfully, is we've turned into some of the silver lining stories of things that people have seen out there in the market. And what I'd like to do now is introduce Steva Casey, who's based in Birmingham, Alabama. She's a bartender at the Atomic Lounge, which is a really incredible bar. And she's also the program manager for a really incredible bartender event called Tiki by the Sea, which I'll let her talk more about. But it's going to allow her the opportunity to not only talk about some of the ways that Birmingham's opening back up, and the things that she's also seen a lot of people in our community doing as part of their reopening, but also now that we can gather again, amazing educational opportunities for bartenders like Tiki by the Sea, and she'll be able to speak to that a little bit.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Super excited to be here. As Donnie said, I work in a bar as well. I don't believe in a day off, so I have a million jobs. I work in a bar called Atomic Lounge in Birmingham, and we actually we were only closed for 8 weeks. So we reopened Memorial Day last year. It was wild. About a month ago is when our mask mandate was lifted. We still do seated service, but which we did not do pre-pandemic. So that is very different for us. There are also some touches to the bar that we no longer do because of the pandemic, i.e. popcorn, bar nuts, et cetera, et cetera. We also used to have costumes in our bar. So if you came to our bar, we had a whole menu of costumes. There were like 40 costumes on the menu, and you could be a hammerhead shark or a banana or XYZ other things while you were in the bar. Obviously, hot dog was my favorite. And, it was like my thunder suit. I would just periodically put it on and feel better about what was going on in life. So
is this you about to tell us that you don't do that anymore?
We don't do them anymore. I don't think they're gone forever, but we are currently not doing them.
That was going to be one of like my pitches for Atomic, because it's so fun. You walk in at any given moment and you're like, where did all these people come from? Like, am I late to the party? And then you realize that there's cubby holes that are filled with these various costumes.
Yeah,
well, it comes back.
Party atmosphere. So it feels different in there now for sure because of those like steps of service that we no longer do. But as far as the people in Alabama are ready to be out, right? And I describe every Friday as like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, where it's like not quite New Year's Eve style of service, where not everybody's a one and done, but it is very much, we can be out in these streets now and we're doing it. So, and I actually have started to travel again. Last week I was in Atlanta and this week I was in Denver. And so to see a degree of difference in other big cities, because while I don't consider Birmingham a tertiary market, other people do consider Birmingham a tertiary market. So to be in an Atlanta or a Denver, which are big cities, and to see restaurants and bars now being maskless while I feel it is a step in the right direction, it is also how are we protecting the people that we work with and will work for, and the people that are like we are on staff with. Is everyone being taken care of? So that I think is like our first priority. Everyone on our staff is vaccinated and been vaccinated for 3 months. Because in Alabama, you could start to be vaccinated in February. So as soon as we could do it, we all got vaccinated.
And then what's happening now in terms of Tiki? Well, first you should explain what Tiki by the Sea is, and then let folks know like what the next step is in terms of what you guys are doing to get back together.
For sure. So top line, it's a tropical drinks and culture festival that is geared towards trade only. So it is a 3-day long, we do it twice, 2 sessions of 3-day long bartender, trade only, bar professionals, trade only experience. So people apply to go. And we do seminars and events of those 3 days that are centered around sugarcane based spirits and everything that entails. So not necessarily Tiki, while we call it Tiki by the Sea, it is tropical focus and sugarcane based because my boss, whose name is Pete Nevangloski, owns a Cachaça company called Avoir, which is
never heard of it. Is it any good?
It's fun. I feel good about it. But I feel good about all Cachaças. So all stateside Cachaças. And, everyone has its place, right? Like, we don't just carry the one, although I don't think that we get Nova Fogo in Alabama. So if you want to, Dragos, if you want to get on that would be great.
It's a difficult state to crack.
It is, because we're a control state. But I have confidence in you. I feel like you can do it.
Yeah, we
Dragos can do it.
We can. We'll get there.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. Alabama is growing in importance in the cocktail world, and it deserves our support.
I mean, we're out here. We're trying to do it. So
yeah, you've got Mika saying that you should come to Pennsylvania as well. Pennsylvania is also a very interesting state to get into, as a lot of the people in the group can attest to. I'm always like replying to people who are like, I can't find this in some wacky place. I'm like, I found it in a store that is 20-minute drive from your house. I don't know how they got it. Let's not ask questions. Just go find it. Just go pick it up before it's gone.
Yeah, control states are a different animal.
Yeah.
So in terms of Tiki by the Sea, we took all of our sessions online last year. And we are hoping to do our live event, go back to live in September this year. So currently applications are open, which you can find on our website, which is tikibythesea.com. I'll put it in the chat. So anyone who is industry, you can look at it.
And for those of you who have favorite bartenders or who have bartenders that are constantly doing sort of tropical style drinks, they may have never heard of it before. Please let them know, because it would be a great way for them to get this education. It's a pretty incredible program.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
And then also, because God forbid we not have this related to the give and go conversation that we've been having throughout this whole thing, I'm gonna pass back to you the concept of collaboration, where you also have something to sort of sneak peek this crew about.
Yeah, for sure. So Drifter, which is the overall company that Avoir is within, they also have a aquavit brand called Svol, and they are starting to release canned cocktails. And I did a collaboration with them. They distill all of their Svol at New York Distilling. So my canned cocktail with them is a collaboration of New York Distilling gin and Svol Danish. And it's like a spiced gin and tonic. So no citrus, canned cocktail. I think it's going to be pretty good. It's a spiced pear syrup that is at its base pear juice and water, and then distilled down with some allspice. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm excited about it.
As you were describing it, I got an audible whoa from Christopher. So I think, yeah, we're all pretty excited about it. Do you know when it's getting released?
They were having, I think that the first round, so they had 3, it's in the first 4, and the first 3 have been released.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, they were just having a little bit of with the TBC, how the naming would be. So it'll be the last one to be released, of course. But
understood. Yeah, but you know what? They're saving the best for last, right?
I'll choose to look at it that way.
Sure. Yeah. And for those of you who are also, while you have your cachaça, you're waiting for catching up with Cachaça box to ship out next month. You guys are experimenting. There's the 2 classic drinks that people always play around with cachaça. It's batida, which if you're going for something that's much more rich and coconut milk, and that one's incredible, and there's all different variations of that. And of course the caipirinha. We have 3 people here with matching shirts that pretty much describe, if you guys want to show those off, that describe a very simple cocktail of the caipirinha, and a few people on this call drinking it as well. But one of the really cool things is Nova Fogo also has a set of canned cocktails that are based with cachaça. Are they available yet, guys?
Yeah, they're around the country.
Okay. What's really cool about these things is this because again, it's a category that people are just discovering. It's not new, but they're just discovering it. These are such great starters for people to try, and they really nailed it on the product itself. And then the project that Steve is a part of with the Avua team, she didn't make a cachaça cocktail, but it was the same kind of thing where they collaborated with bartenders around the country to come up with these really incredible ready-to-drink cocktails. And the artistry on all of the Nova Fogo products are beautiful. The Avua products are really beautiful. And Christopher, go ahead.
May I ask a question to Dragos? So when you were doing your RTD drinks, when you dealt with the citrus or the acid, how did you create that solution?
Well, Christopher, we don't know each other very well yet. You'll have to come up here. We spent a couple of months together, and then we do the blood thing, and then I'll tell you. But in general, you went straight to the crux of the challenges with an RTD, the intersection of freshness and good taste and shelf stability is very difficult to achieve. And I kid you not when I'll tell you that we started working on ours in 2012. It took us 5 years before we actually got a recipe down. So it's complicated, and there are now a number of techniques because there are so many producers who have created ways to get around that kind of stuff. But I'm still seeing a lot of pasteurized lime juice that I don't think works well enough for a short period of time. And I also would advise that whatever you do, you don't produce too much at once. You just kind of dole it out to ensure that you have shelf stability.
Yeah, that's definitely not a challenge I'm choosing to accept. I'm leaving it up to you and Steva. Steva, did you have the same challenge when you were doing your RTD drinks, or what was your challenge?
So I was not involved in the production of those RTDs. I did obviously advise that fresh juice is not how are we making these things shelf stable, and partially because from personal experience, there's a brewery in Birmingham that when they very first canned one of their beers, they just didn't do it right. And so the beer itself was just exploding off the shelf in the grocery store.
Yep.
Right?
Time bomb fermentation.
Right.
Yeah.
So from that experience and knowing those guys, when they approached me about doing this collaboration, I was like, what can be simple, executable, also interesting, that will not be like a juice bomb, because it needs to be shelf stable, obviously. So they're doing it at New York Distilling, and I think they're doing a great job.
Those guys kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'd say.
You may ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, given what you just said and listen to Steva's talking about the masks off, and like, I want to ask everybody on the panel and ask everyone who's involved, like, what are some good, almost like punch drinks or like community drinks we can make with cachaça? Because, you know, I'm dealing with a lot of barbecues and birthday parties, and I'm like, oh, what's a good idea? And I don't want to just resort to, you know, oh, cucumbers and mint. You know, like, I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say about what works for, you know, a big community drink, because that's coming. It's coming at some point.
Well, Stefan's having everybody over to his house after the happy hour, so I hope Stefan, is your punch bowl ready? Because we're all heading your way.
I didn't know, but I mean, good luck catching the ferry to get over here. But
yeah,
I have some
shows in 20 minutes. We're good. You know, I feel like I remember Castro doing a cachaça punch at Rick House back in the day. I could be not remembering that correctly, but Luke and Dragos, do you have any, you know, having been in this category for as long as you have been, can you think of any real like cocktails that really blew you away that were punch format that used silver?
You know, you can put cachaça in any kind of classic cocktail. Literally, there's such a diversity and breadth in the cachaça category. Find any drink you want, some kind of classic drink, and sub in the main spirit for cachaça. Whether it's white or dark or anything in between, it will work. So any kind of plant. I love the planter's punch with cachaça, or a mix of cachaça and rums. You know, it's just a bunch of fruit. You can add some sort of tropical syrup, and I think that it's important to sort of stay geographically grounded. I believe in our company, we strongly believe that what grows together goes together. So try to find things that are tropical. Somebody asked earlier, what's the weirdest ingredient you've seen in a cachaça drink? Well, really a lot of different things, but try to find tropical fruit, you know, that you wouldn't otherwise mix with. But citrus is fine. And then if you want to add a sweetener of some sort that is still South American, go to some kind of spice nut syrup, cinnamon syrup, vanilla syrup, or go to the Caribbean for falernum and orgeat, which are wonderful because they also add a little bit of extra spice. So something as simple as cachaça, any color, really, any sort of expression, citrus, and then a spice nut syrup or liqueur. Bring those together in a punch bowl and you're basically there. You know, you can lengthen it with some bubbles. You can lengthen it with some white sweet vermouth or wine, the Sauvignon Blanc, that's Donnie's favorites. Step into cachaça cocktails. All those things to make it a little bit longer to go in a punch bowl would be delightful.
You know, it's interesting. You guys talked about Adam and Stefan talked about the banana, and I had never thought of this, but like, there could be a really cool way if we toasted walnuts into an aged cachaça and then reduce that down because the banana nut's already there, and you have like a banana walnut pancake syrup situation happening. You know what I mean? It depends on what type of sugar you use, but you can reduce that down and really pull out the nuttiness characteristic of what some cachaças have.
Okay, Stefan, just kidding. We're not going to your house. We're all going to Christopher's house. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher's the only biggest Nick cocktail right now. So
get the pan.
We're all coming.
You know, my wife just made some banana bread yesterday, so I'll bring that along and we're good to go.
Okay,
there you go.
Perfect. I would love to, you know, I want to make sure we don't run out of time before we get to our home. I mean, yeah, it could be a jungle juice. Michael Wolf just posted, Christopher, I'm hungry now, which happens all the time. And Mika also said shrubs. That is actually really great for punches, because what you're doing is you're adding a tang in addition to the sweetness, which in and of itself balances itself out. Plus having, I mean, a lot of times for bulk cocktails, we'll do apple cider vinegar anyway, because it's a great way to add some acidity without having to add a ton of citrus, which we don't have to worry about it in terms of you guys talking about RTDs. With punches, fresh citrus is great, but what grows together goes together.
Yeah.
If you were to do some sort of like either a banana liqueur or a banana syrup, or using spices like Dragos was talking about, or walnuts like Christopher was talking about, to be able to create a punch with that, and then do like a cava, like a dry, like very sharp bubbly, those end up working really well together. Honey works really well with silver cachaça in punches, but I feel like you pretty much can't go wrong. The one thing that I would recommend that a lot of times I don't see in caipirinha recipes is make sure whenever possible that you are actually using the limes and using the peels, because that extra layer of the oil from the peels adds a complexity to that drink that if you're just using lime juice, it tends to either potentially be a little sweet, or you're just missing out on that tinge of bitter that comes from the oils, which is really great when you crush it. It's one of those things that is really easy to do in punches as well. You squeeze all the lime out and make sure that you actually leave some of the rinds in the punch so it has time to dissipate. The oil has time to dissipate. I wanted to have time to make sure that we get to our trivia and our prizes, because you guys have all been paying attention. There's one thing that I have to put out there, and Milana, I'm really sorry, but it is one of those things where because we have so many people that are so active, we have to make sure that if you've won a prize in like the last year, then you write it down at home, and you can prove to us that you knew the answer all along, but leave it to some of the other people to win stuff that haven't won things before. So
Totally understood. I'm all good.
Okay, cool. So, you can't help it. You're just a winner. There's nothing that you can do about it. Exactly. So the way that we do this for folks who haven't before is our panelists are going to ask some questions, and whoever gets the correct answer in the chat first is going to win the prize, or win the various prizes. So I'm going to start off with Stefan. In which country did Stefan grow up? And while we're in the same region, name a famous Brazilian soccer player that shares his name with arguably the most famous Austrian composer. So, I see a bunch of half answers. I see no two-part answers. All I need is the country where Stefan was born and the famous Brazilian soccer player that shares his name with most likely the most famous Austrian composer.
Oh.
I did not think it was going to be this hard, but apparently it is.
What's the question? I try to make it somewhat easy, but...
Fine, Nicole, there we go. Good Lord.
Sorry, I've been waiting.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
I'll drink to that.
Thank you. The answer is Mozart. And a little tidbit of information, Mozart is also the name of one of the founding partners of Novo Fogo. Is that true?
Oh, it's him. He is the soccer player who is one of our partners.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
In Portuguese, it's pronounced Mozart, not Sue. But yeah, his name is Mozart Santos Batista Jr. And he was born in Curitiba, played all over Europe, and then returned to Brazil, played for the Brazilian national team, and is now a coach in the first Brazilian division. And he's still one of our partners and good friends.
That's awesome. That is great. Okay, so Nicole, please do me a favor. Message the Shaker and Spoon account title here in the chat, and let them know what email address you use for your Shaker and Spoon account.
Okay.
That way they can be in touch with you.
Okay.
I've got a little second part. Adam's not with us anymore. We've got a little second part here. And his question was, this is another question you guys have to answer, is what does the cocktail name Give and Go refer to? Yes, it does refer to soccer, but what specifically does it refer to?
Stefan, in the meantime, how's your knee, man? I was told by some of my Sounders friends to check in on your knee.
I appreciate that. Thank you. No, yeah, I had a little bit of a setback. I had a somewhat of a serious knee injury about 3 weeks ago, and then everything looked like I was super fortunate and I didn't have any ligament damage, but there was some complications on the way because so I got some blood clots, so I have to be on blood thinners right now, which kind of sucks. But I'm lucky because obviously blood clots are somewhat serious. So
yeah.
It comes with the territory. I've had so many injuries. I mean, that's as straight as my pinky gets. I've had so many things happen to me, but I'm good. I appreciate you asking me, but no, I'm good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wanted to check in, make sure you're good.
Yeah. I'm trying to use my energy on other things in the meantime, and then when it's time for me to get back on the pitch, I'm itching to get back to work.
I bet. I love it. Yeah. I mean, so you're in Bainbridge, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I've met those guys. I've met those folks who are making that spirit. Yeah. Highly about the environment. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you got to come up like Drago said. We can do a little blood ceremony, a little blood brother ceremony, and maybe you can get some info out of Dragos how to make those.
Sounds good, man. I'll bring the knife.
Perfect.
So one thing you can't fly with.
I got a nice Christopher.
One thing you can't fly with.
All right, Stefan, you have to pick a winner from the chat there.
We did. Michael Wolf got that one. So congratulations, Michael. And we have some really cool prizes from Nova Voga for you, which are very cool. Which we're not going to share now, but once you get them, both you and Nicole just can post it in the group and make sure that everybody sees like the cool stuff that you got. But
and to elaborate on the move, the give and go. Me as a goalkeeper, I never get to be this creative because it would mean I'm venturing out of my box, whatnot. But yes, our coaches always preach when you pass the ball, your natural instinct is to just stand there and let everything else happen. But the best thing to do is you pass it and you move because the opponent is not really paying attention to you. So that's where the give and go comes into play. You're passing it to someone, you're moving to an open space, and you get it right back. And that's kind of how we created a cocktail.
It's perfect. I mean, it couldn't have been like a better title for that drink. And by the way, for those of you who are looking to, because Stefan was talking about how he's, rehabilitating after an injury. The best exercise that you guys can do if you have any elbow issues or bartending issues is to continue raising the glass. It really helps stretch out your biceps and your triceps, and it's really it's a great way to, of course, get the glass closer to your face. So just want you guys to all keep that in mind for future exercise opportunities.
The irony is not lost, sir.
Good.
Cheers.
Okay. Steva has a question that she's going to ask you. It is also going to be a two-parter, Steva, if you want to do those two. And so she's going to go, and again, don't post it unless you have both answers in the same post in the chat. Steva, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
So we were talking about the Nordic Gin and Tonic, and Svol has two aquavits. Which aquavit is used in the gin and tonic? And then what is the base of the pear syrup?
Oh, the second part was, what was the base of the syrup that she used in her Nordic gin and tonic? She was talking about it earlier.
Right, that's part of the recipe.
She become with the heat.
Here we are.
Yeah,
hey,
see,
man.
this is why people pay so close attention to the panelists.
I ain't mad at you. That's great.
I feel like I'm on the spot. I should tell a joke or something.
No,
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna clarify again. So Svol, S-V-O-L, is the aquavit that she used in her gin and tonic, in her Nordic gin and tonic, and there are two different kinds. She told you which one she used, and that's what you have to answer. So that's number one, and then also what was the base of the syrup that she used for the Nordic gin and tonic. And this is a good one too. This is actually a really terrific prize that we can't tell you what it is yet, but again, it's pretty fantastic. I'm excited.
Donnie, this is what happens when you bench your star player, man.
I guess so.
You told her not to answer questions. There's no winner.
Okay, well, listen. At this point, no one's answered it, so it's open. All right. I mean, we got to give it to you. It is the Danish one, and it is pear juice. So it is pear juice and water. So we're gonna give that to you. And I mean, I feel like we gave the rest of the audience plenty of opportunity to win that one. So
I agree.
that one. So make sure you message the Shaker and Spoon with the email that you use, and we'll go from there. But suffice it to say, it's a pretty fun prize. You're gonna enjoy it. Okay, Christopher. This is also going to be a two-parter, and you guys are going to have to get as close as you can get, but he did a pretty good job of telling you all the answers here. So, what were the ingredients of the first Cachaça cocktail that Christopher ever created, and at which restaurant was it? Go.
I don't remember that shit, man. That's crazy.
I mean, you busted it out earlier without.
I did. Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah, totally.
So I'm hoping that some folks remembered like a little bit of it. I mean, sometimes there are people like taking frantic notes and things.
I might get like Kerouac on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Parker on this side. It might be a subterfuge.
So, Kylene, we're gonna give this to you because it's close enough. So, I mean, it's not, but we're gonna be fine. So it was Cachaça. It was Cachaça, yellow chartreuse, Fresno chili, Meyer lemon, and dry vermouth. And it was 1760.
It was.
Either way, I feel like exactly the whole crowd is partying.
Yeah, dude.
But Kylene, here's the issue about having friends over and watching this on the big screen. You're gonna have to share your prize now with them. Which,
bada bing, bada brewskis.
But
it's
I
on
feel like
Yeah, my son put glasses, put a filter on.
I think you look great. I think you look great. Okay, Kylene, make sure that while we're still connected here, you actually message the Shaker and Spoon user on here with your the email address.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. For those of you who won something, congratulations. Congratulations, and just keep in mind that with all kinds of shipping delays and things, these things might take a while. So please be patient, but congrats. You have some very fun stuff coming your way. Nicole, to answer your question, 1760s in San Francisco.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for sticking around with us for so long, and huge thanks to Stefan and to Luke and Dragos for arranging that, and to Adam, who had to go to his early bird special, and of course to Steva and to Christopher. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and to our whole Shaker and Spoon family for continuously being so incredible. And we love spending time with you every day, and we always look forward to all the fun and creative things that you guys come out with. And as the days go by, please make sure that you're enjoying all the delicious cachaça that have been recommended to you by these amazing bartenders. And I can't wait for everybody to try the cocktails next month when they come out. So congrats and thanks to everybody for joining us today.